Dumb. Cool.
Weird.
Podcast.
Just remember that the only reason you're allowed to drink on Sundays after 12:30 is because you got your taste of Jesus for the week, so you can sin the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, got people buying like carts worth of booze.
It's stupid. Yeah, I grew up Catholic,
Yeah.
And so growing up Catholic, my dad's side of the family is either Catholic or Methodist, and Methodist is Protestant, but it's like pretty much like a straight offshoot of of Catholic, because they
Yeah.
they have like a lot of the same Catholic like tendencies, basically.
Protestants are very, very rigid
Yeah.
on everything.
Well, see, my mother was a Southern Baptist growing up, and they were really bizarre people. Because, like I said, I grew up with my dad. So, being that I, growing up with my dad, and then seeing how my grandparents were on my mom's side of the family, I just didn't really understand like some of the stuff they thought and the way they saw the world. It was very different than my Catholic, / Methodist like upbringing. It was just very different.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's like you have people who are who they're not exactly manipulated, I guess you could say, in that sort of sense with their religion. Like, had a few really good friends who were Southern Baptists or just very religious people, and they want to live the Bible more than they want to just like preach it at people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not they know it's not everyone else's cup of tea, so they don't jam it down anybody's throat. But they're very interesting people because, like I said, they live it for themselves. They're not out there trying to convert you. Like, I've always found it very interesting that here in the South, especially, like they hand out Bibles like candy and they try to convert you, but they don't want you to put your values on them, but they'll try to put their values onto you.
Well, it's like I told you. I grew up. I grew up, Catholic, but I was pretty much an atheist my whole life. Like, even as a kid,
Yeah.
I just never really believed in anything supernatural, like anything at all. It just never really like clicked for me. I just never really said anything when I was a kid because I was afraid of the repercussions of what my family would say to me or do to me.
Since we're and we can like circle back around in a sense too, and it's like, have you ever noticed that as time has gone on too, that a lot of people aren't exactly opting into any sort of religion anymore?
Yeah,
Like,
it's almost like people just don't really care about it as much anymore. I mean, people, I've heard people complain that a lot. I've heard older people complain that young people don't really go to church anymore, and it's pretty much a pretty common thing, because growing up, going back to what we were talking about, like, the whole podcast is about growing up from then to now.
Yeah.
Growing up, we went to church every single Sunday.
Yeah.
And sometimes my dad would even try to get us to do stuff during the week with like church stuff, and I just was never really interested. It got to the point where I was a teenager and my dad just never made me go to church anymore. When I turned about 13 or 14 years old, we stopped going to church because I think my dad got burned down on it too, because my dad doesn't go to church. He only went to church because he thought it was the right thing to do with me and Brittany, but then when he found out that me and my sister didn't want to go, he was just like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to church anymore,
Yeah, and it's very interesting because even now people are opting into old pagan religions.
Yeah, it seems like older religions are kind of making a bit of a comeback in some ways. The thing is, like, there's a bit of a divide even among atheists, because I'm like an atheist, but then there's like this thing called New Atheism or New Atheism Plus or something like that. And it's kind of like, it's kind of a thing where like they've kind of taken the atheism thing and they've kind of run with it, but then they believe in certain things that are not necessarily like based in reality.
That's just being agnostic, but with extra steps.
Well, not necessarily. This new atheism thing is basically just like they like certain social things a certain way, so they accept those social things, and with a whole lot of evidence. It's kind of a biological thing. But like the reason why I say that is because like I'm a very skeptical guy. I'm skeptical about a lot of things, and I've just always been and see, the thing is, growing up, even when I was like a teenager, like I was considered a very woke person. That word woke.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was called though back then.
People
just
didn't have
said,
a word for that back
They just
then.
said I was like a really liberal guy. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like knowing you personally. It's very weird because it's like we don't really have a political stance on very many things. It just depends on the issue.
Yeah, it really does. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm just saying. Like, but growing up, that's what people thought about me. But now,
Yeah.
I'd say it's very different compared to how things are now. Because, the world is like going back to what we were talking about, like growing up, the world is a very different place. Thanks for checking out the Dumb Cool Weird podcast. Go to our website, www.dumbcoolweird.com, to check out our merch and all our social media links. If you want to check out how to support us and our audio podcasts only, and an access to our website and all of our other links for our social media, go to linktree.com, which has Dumb Cool Weird podcast. The link is up below. Hope you guys will check us out. We have new content coming out every single Monday. We have new content coming out every single day. Check it for 9 a.m. Clips, reactions, whatever. We got it coming for you. Hope you come out, check it out. Stay sexy, Atlanta, and keep watching our crap.